What is up, YouTube? Is Eric the Creator. Today we are reacting to 4 True Horror Stories animated. Now this video is by MJV Animations and they make some really good videos. But I'm not going to say too much. I really hope y'all like this video. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright.
I live in a small home in a fairly decent neighborhood, and I also work from home as well. I have my office set up upstairs in a small room with my desk right by a window that faces the front of the house. I liked being able to open it for fresh air, or have the view when it was nice out. This was as fall was just starting,
having it right
so
by
I
the
pretty much had the
though.
window open all day. One regular weekday though.
What is he doing? The monitor isn't on, big bro. He's just tapping his keyboard.
Around noon, I was doing my usual work at my desk when I noticed something out the window. There was a person, a man, standing at the bottom of my driveway, not walking past it or stopping to tie a shoe or anything. He was just standing there and looking up at my house. I couldn't tell if he could see me in the window or not, but after only a few seconds of me looking at him, he walked away.
Alright.
I thought it was really strange, but that was about it. What else was I supposed to think or do?
I mean, that's not that strange. He's just checking out your house or whatever. That's right.
I did an occasional check out the window
nothing on,
every now and then.
There's nothing on the screen, Big Bear. You're gonna have to turn on your monitor. Like, I don't know why we're...
Seeing nothing else, I wasn't too worried about it. The following day, I was on the same routine.
Why is he barefoot?
I got to work and was pretty busy the whole day.
You ain't got no socks on.
I had a lot of video calls with my coworkers. During one of these calls, I spaced out and happened to glance out the window again.
He's there again?
Standing in the same spot at the end of the driveway and looking up at the house.
Easy solution. He's just, working out and he's taking laps around the neighborhood. And he just so happens to stop at your house because your house is, that good. So he has to stare at the house. Easy solution.
House, just like he was before. Something about this time was 10 times more creepy and eerie.
Bruh, he's just doing his exercise.
I must have stared off at him for a while because one of my coworkers noticed I looked worried and asked if everything was okay. I said yeah and tried to refocus on the meeting. I kept looking back though. He was standing there for a minute. Then I looked back again, and he was gone.
Okay.
The rest of my workday...
He's not Houdini, cuh. He's, he can't just disappear. I don't know why we're exaggerating it, but come on.
Felt to drag on.
He's not
couldn't stop thinking about this random guy looking up at my house. It was just so odd. When I got out of work, I went outside and walked around my driveway, looking for any reason for them to be looking up at my house like that. Everything looked normal. However, I did notice that the window of my office was visible and clear from where the man was standing.
So he was staring at you,
which means he could likely see me looking at him. I went back inside and made dinner.
See, now why you got shoes on,
with my brother that night, and I mentioned it.
Put the socks on your feet.
He agreed it was odd, but said it was likely nothing. After getting off the phone, I sat down and watched TV, hoping to get my mind off of it. A couple hours passed. It was maybe 9 p.m. I had the show turned down because I was getting tired, but with the low volume, I was able to hear what I thought were footsteps
in the middle of the night too.
I jolted up from the couch and stared at the front door. The footsteps walked up, only stopping for a brief second, then walked away. I hurried over to the door and looked out the peephole. I could only faintly see a figure walking down to the road. Once they were gone, I opened the door. Immediately, I noticed a note taped to the back. It was short. It just said,
"Yo, come on.
Answer the door." I was not only confused.
Then and there, I'm turning into Prime King Von. He gon' catch that side of me at that point. Cause ain't no way you finna be leaving letters at my door like you the Watcher.
But horrified. How did they know my name? And what was the note even supposed to mean? They didn't even knock or stay long enough for me to have answered the door. Not that I would have anyway. This was enough for me to call the police.
Okay, I wouldn't
2
call the
officers
police
came
though.
over,
Like,
and
I
I
would just
told
be
them
like,
everything.
bro,
Unfortunately, there wasn't all that much they could do, though.
that is a
They
weird
pretty
looking
much
cop.
wrote it all down and said if something else happens, call them. It really didn't make me
Yo,
feel
like,
much
what
better.
are we wearing, bro?
I stayed up late that night, laying in bed, unable to sleep. I literally just laid there for hours, thinking about this man that was stalking my house and the eerie note he left. Then, at
That's
just
why I would
before
hate
2
to live by
a.m.,
myself,
a
cause like
knock at the front
you
door
you can't
echoed
even
through
go
the
tell
otherwise
somebody and stay
silent
with somebody in the house.
house.
So like you
My
went
body
in, like,
froze up. The silence of the house was now deafening as I listened in fear. After a few seconds, they knocked again. My heart started beating faster. I got my phone and called 911. They sent officers right away, but the knocks continued the whole time I waited. Eerily, they never got louder or
I'm
more rushed
opening the
or
door,
aggressive. It was
and
just
I'm
the
finna be
same
just
knocking,
like young
over
boy.
and over, echoing through the hallways of my home. The operator on the phone updated me that the cops were 2 minutes out, and just after that, there was a longer pause between the knocking. 15 seconds, then 30, then a whole minute passed.
Yo, like there's no way
When
they
the
like.
officers showed up,
And then he's gonna say there was no trace of the man and they couldn't find him.
nobody was at the door. They were too late. Again, I
Yeah, and they
told them what
never found him.
happened, and they seemed to take it a little bit more seriously this time, but it still wasn't enough for them to do anything about it. They said they would have an officer patrol around here for the next couple weeks. Those weeks came and went, and the man never came back up to my door or to the end of the driveway, at least from what I know. It's been months later now, and still nothing else. It still scares the hell out of me, though. The thought of the creepy note telling me to answer the door, and then there being knocking at 2 a.m., is just terrifying. Then there's also the thought of them coming back, lingering in my head.
Yo,
I don't
he
know what
got
they
a
wanted,
fat forehead,
who they
bro.
were, or if they're truly gone for good.
Okay, we switching the scenery out.
This was when I was a freshman in high school. The town I lived in was small, and I guess you could say pretty old-fashioned compared to places nowadays. It was very woodsy all around, and the buildings and houses weren't so compacted together. My home was out in the woods. My parents had a decent amount of land,
you can't
and
live
my
in
dad
the
had built
woods
the place with his dad.
and want to survive at
Anyway,
something like
it didn't
what's
have a
gonna
real
happen.
road or a driveway. It was more of a dirt trail, so the school buses didn't have a stop at our place. I'd either have to walk a mile to my friend's house to get picked up, or just walk the extra distance straight to school. Usually, I just walk all the way to school.
Like
This
the
was
bus
a
can't do
typical
a
day,
little
as
mile,
far
bro.
as I could tell. I was walking down the trail from my home, enjoying the calm morning sounds of the woods, when I spotted a car up ahead. It wasn't my parents' car, or anyone else's that I knew, and it was just parked right on the trail. This trail only led to and from the house, so someone being on here was unusual. I don't know if I'd ever seen a random car here at all before this. I felt kind of uncomfortable having to pass it. There was a woman inside. She looked 35 or 40, with dark circles under her eyes and shaggy black hair.
Not even gonna say anything.
She glanced at me, but I just looked down. I could feel her eyes on me as I walked past, though. I picked up the pace and got to school. At the dinner table that night, I mentioned it to my parents, asking who it was and why they were there. Both of them looked worried and confused. They told me the woman must have just gotten lost, and I shouldn't worry about it, but I could see the worry in their eyes. They dropped me off at school for the next week, which was odd because they both started work early, like 6 a.m., so they must have
feel
called
like
in
I
late
could beat
for
her
the
in a fight.
entire
Like
week
if a
just to
woman
drop.
that size and I was walking past her car and she was just staring at me, and like it had to come down to a battle, I'm doing her. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to do you that.
me off. Honestly, I thought that it was an overreaction, as I felt I was old enough to handle myself, but I knew my parents were just being safe. On Monday morning of the following week, I packed up my book bag and started walking. During the last week that I'd been dropped off, we never saw the woman or the car, so I really wasn't worried at all anymore. However, this time, when I got to that same spot in the woods, she was there again, sitting in her car.
Yeah, we might just have to
watching
bump
me.
it out, bro.
I had a mini
Sign the
heart
contract,
attack.
big boy.
This was too much to be a coincidence. Showing up twice on the trail that was basically our driveway, sitting in the same spot, and only showing up
Yo, your
when I was
haircut
walking
uneven, bro.
alone. I made the decision to cut through the woods instead of walking past her again.
Yo, you
I took a
have
few
some
steps off the
humongous
trail,
calf muscles,
but
cuz.
immediately, the woman noticed.
Yeah, like
She
we're
turned
gonna
her car
have
on
to
and
fight.
drove up closer to me. I pretended to ignore her, walking faster into the woods. I heard her car door open and her footsteps
like-
crunching on the leaves behind me. But then she called out my name, like my full name, in this eerily calm and loving voice. I turned my head and looked at her. She had this dead stare and blank, expressionless face. Her eyes were tired and heavy, and she had this sickly look. I sprinted away, and after losing sight of her, I circled back through the woods to my house, where I called my parents. They called the police and came home right away. What I didn't expect was my parents to know exactly who the woman was.
Oh, is it your
It was my dad's
biological mom?
ex-wife from almost 2 decades ago.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, she'd had mental health issues
20
for a
years
while
ago.
and would have these horrifying episodes where she'd get obsessed
How
with
did-
something
how
and
does
do
she know?
disturbing things. The day I told them I saw her, my parents reported it to the police, knowing it had to be her. Police failed to do anything about
What
it,
if he
though,
found out that
only
that was his
checking up on her
biological mom?
and saying she seemed normal. For that whole week, though, she had been stalking our house, knowing that every time my parents left for work early, it meant I would be walking alone to school. My parents never told me what happened to her after this, or what she was trying to do to me,
Personally, I would've
or
killed her.
why she was doing any
I
of
would've killed
it.
her.
Hopefully, nothing like that happens again. This was in 2019. I worked at a grocery store, usually closing shifts, and I lived alone in a small one-bedroom apartment. We had a lot of regulars at our store, customers that would come in all the time,
lot of
and usually
cereal,
around
duh.
the same time as well. One of these customers was a guy that came in right before closing a couple times a week. Nobody knew his name, but everybody knew of him because nobody liked customers that came in 10 minutes before the store closed. Usually being the only cashier, I'd be the one interacting with him. He was always a bit strange.
Okay.
He didn't talk much and always had a tired look
The
on his
haircut
face.
is quite unique.
This night, he came in as he always did, right before closing, grabbing a couple things and coming up to the register.
What is that?
I scanned everything,
Is that Nutter
he
Butters?
paid, and he left.
Nutty Buddies?
We didn't exchange any words aside from a simple greeting. 10 minutes later, I closed down the register and spent a few minutes cleaning up, clocking out and leaving at 10:15. As I walked out to my car, I noticed the man was still in the parking lot.
Yo.
He was standing awkwardly outside of his car, with his hands at his side, just looking at the store.
He
I got in
looks
my car
so
and went
zooted.
home.
So geeked out his mind.
I didn't have work the following day, so I stayed up a bit later than usual. I didn't get into bed until probably 1 a.m. Only moments after getting under the covers, though, a bright light glared into my bedroom through one of the windows. I thought it was a neighbor pulling in, so I didn't really care about it. After a second, the light shut off, which unconsciously confirmed to me that it was just headlights. I fell asleep only a couple minutes later. I woke up in the night to what I thought was my phone ringing. The way I woke up, half asleep and in the middle of a dream, it was hard to tell what was real and what wasn't. I rubbed
Oh,
my
it's not
eyes
her
and tapped my phone
phone.
on the nightstand. It was blank. No messages or phone calls came in. I wasn't sure what to think.
He's
I
in
was
the
going to just
room or
ignore
something.
it and go back to sleep, as I wasn't even fully awake yet to begin with. But the slightest thing caught my eye as I rolled back over. The bedroom door was barely cracked open, not even
what?
enough to let any light in or anything.
He's in her
It was just
closet.
uneven with the door frame, not latched shut. I always closed the door to my room, so seeing it not fully shut immediately woke me up. I got out of bed and walked over, pushing it closed to see if maybe it was stuck for some reason. It smoothly latched into the door frame, just like it always did. So
right
there was
then and there, I'm gonna be nonchalant till I get to the door. I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, my door just broken. Right when I get to the door, booking. Cause ain't no way he's in
no
her
way I'd
closet.
mistakenly left it open. I felt my body get shaky. My heart was pounding. But even with everything pointing otherwise, I still tried to convince myself that this was somehow nothing. I tried to think of any possible way that this was something to not worry about. But my mind thought back to the light I saw before falling asleep. I walked over to the window and peeked through the blinds.
There's a car in her.
There was a car parked in my driveway. I could only see the back half of it, but I instantly felt a rush of panic. Who was at my house,
it was the dude's
and
car.
was someone inside with me? I hurried over to the door again and flicked on the lights. I stood there by the door, panicking and thinking, realizing I should call 911 just to be safe. I looked at the nightstand that my phone was on, and just before I started to walk over there, I saw an eye looking back from a crack in the closet.
No! Ain't no way he's in her closet. Ain't no way I'm taking that. Right then and there, I'm bull rushing him.
My body shook and I let out a gasp.
I mean, prime, dang, Darren Watkins. Wait. I forgot his name. Brian Dawkins. Prime Brian Dawkins. Right to him. Murdering him on sight. Cause ain't no way you're finna be in my closet.
Then spun around and sprinted out of my house. By the time I found a neighbor that would answer their door and call the police for me, at least 15 minutes had gone by already. The car in my driveway was still there when officers showed up, but the man was gone.
Bro, ain't got no license plate.
It didn't take long for them to use the car to track him down though, and I felt nauseous when it turned out to be the man from the grocery store.
Wow.
His reasonings for everything didn't make any sense, but it was clear he'd had his eye on me for a while now, and he was not mentally well. I think the only reason I'd woken up that night was because the man's phone rang while he was hiding, and he silenced it just as I woke up. If not for that, I don't know what would have happened to me, or if I'd even be here right now.
Okay, we're changing the scenery again. We're doing all four seasons.
In my small town. It's one of those family-owned type places.
Winter,
real small
spring,
and
summer,
not the best.
fall.
But in our town, it was a regular place a lot of people went to for some reason.
Silhouette right there.
I think it was because it was one of the only 24/7 places open for people to hang at. At least it used to be. This was in December. I had the dreaded 10 to 6 shift. It was almost always dead, and this night it was even more so. There was a huge snowstorm rolling through our town. From the time I clocked in and took over for the last shift, not a single customer was there. I spent 2 hours cleaning up all the lanes except for one, just in case a group happened to come in later. I checked out the windows. The parking lot was empty and snow was stacking up. I wasn't sure someone could even drive through the parking lot with all this snow unless a plow truck came through. After a bit, I pulled up a chair to the window and sat down, just looking out and resting, as there was nothing else to do. The place didn't have cameras, let alone anyone to watch them, so taking long breaks on slow days, or even sometimes sleeping, was easy to get away with. Another hour or so went by, when seemingly out of nowhere, there was a loud thud from behind the bowling lanes. I think I was half asleep when it happened, but I jolted up. I got off the chair and walked toward the back room. I really had no clue what that was.
I'ma just
Maybe
hit
it
him with
had
a
something to
bowling
do with
pin.
the snowstorm outside. The back room was where all the pins and bowling balls were stored, along with all the machines that run
I'ma
everything.
carry a bowling
It's
ball. That
basically a
clearly.
long
How
hallway
much do
going the
bowling
full
balls weigh?
length
Maybe
of the
like
building.
18 pounds, 12
When I
pounds.
opened the door, it was completely dark. I didn't hear or see anything at first, until I looked down. There was water going down the hallway in a very clear footstep pattern. My face went
Oh
pale.
no.
Hello? Who's in here? I started walking down,
Why?
calling out a
Like,
couple more
come on,
times
cuz.
before I came across something taped to the wall. It was an envelope. In it were pictures, like Polaroids, of me working alone that
Oh
night.
wow. Like,
There were some of me
like,
cleaning the
come
lanes and
on,
just
girl.
walking around, and
They
one was
gotta be
disturbingly
lying.
close to me as I was sitting by the window. It looked like they must have only been a few feet behind me. I felt like I was gonna faint. I ran back out the way I came and right to the front desk, dialing 911. I tried waiting for a minute, but the silence of the building and the unknowingness of what was going on
That's
just started to
crazy.
build up anxiety in me. I ended up running out to my car and waiting in there. Despite the weather, police actually got there really quick, like in 2 or 3 minutes. Whoever had been stalking me that night left no traces. Of course, the
They
trashy
literally
place
left
didn't have any
footsteps.
cameras, so there was nothing else to go on. I don't know what that person was trying to do, or if it was just some sick joke, or what. Since then, I didn't have anything else happen. I quit a couple months after, though.
Bowling fun. Bowling getting you killed. But yeah, those were actually really good. I can't even lie. Those were 4 really good horror stories. Except the second one. Like, I would have beat that girl up so bad, bruh. I can't even lie. First one, it was alright. The third one really got like that. Third one was really creepy. In my closet, like, come on, bruh. In my closet. But yeah, that's a really good video. MJV Animations makes really good horror stories. But I really hope y'all like that video. We will do more reactions like this in the future. I haven't played not one game in like three three videos, something like that. But next video probably might be a game, I'm not sure. But I hope y'all like this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment what you want me to do next. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we are out.